Hello everybody and a massive welcome back to the channel. You may recall a few weeks ago I uploaded the first in a two-part series regarding how you can turn scrap copper just like this into beautiful treasure just like this right here. In that video we went through the preliminary process of how you can clean your copper and get it ready for the pouring process, and in this video we're going to very briefly go through the pouring process, and also at the end of the video we will be reviewing the results of this little experiment, as I've now had my copper returned to me in its new and improved state. So before we get into any details regarding that, I just want to give you a little bit of context of what is going off here, because I've kept this very, very quiet. I wanted this to be a surprise because I was just so excited to find out what this pour is going to look like. But if we wind the clock back a few months to around August time, you may recall that we had the 1 year birthday bash celebrating the first year of the Stackers Social Discord server. During that, the wonderful members of the community all got together and donated loads of items they wanted to be included into the giveaways. One of those items specifically caught my eye, and it was an item that was donated by Gold Silver Hunter. You probably know him as GSH. He's been in the community for quite some time now. He's a great guy, and I of course highly recommend going over and checking his channel out if you haven't had a chance to do so as of yet. Okay, so you may have already guessed which item I'm referring to, but if not, the item I'm referring to was a aluminium pour in the shape of a thinking man. It's based on the 10-ounce Argentia silver pour, which GSH does have himself, and it's an absolutely stunning piece. When I got the aluminium pour in my hand, I just absolutely fell in love with it, and I contacted GSH pretty much straight away just to say to him, mate, I've got loads of old copper knocking around. I've been collecting scrap copper for quite some time, and what I've normally done in the past is I'll collect it till I've got a significant amount. I'll take it down to the scrap merchants and I'll scrap it in for cash. But what I'd like to do going forward is maybe getting into a little bit of pouring for myself. I'm not there as of yet. You probably know that I've moved into my new house last year, and since then my time's kind of been taken up by renovating the house and getting it fit to live in, basically. And I'm making progress with that, but I'm still definitely nowhere near ready to start looking into purchasing my own pouring equipment and getting it set up for myself. So I approached GSH and I said to him, is there any chance if I send you the scrap copper to use plus some extra copper for yourself to make other bits out of later, would you be willing to make me one of those thinking men pours out of copper? And GSH, being the fantastic guy that he is, responded to me pretty much straight away to say, yeah, that's no problem at all. If you can get me the copper, I will be more than happy to do that for you. So GSH was travelling a few weeks ago. He was travelling to the north. He just so happened to travel near the part of the country where I live. So we arranged that I would meet him on his way up north. I'd sort him out with the copper and also some aluminium cans I'd been saving up as well. And that would enable him to move forward and get the pouring process started. So that was the first part of it. Now, you may have already seen a couple of items I've had returned from GSH already. He sent me a couple of aluminium ducks, as well as this copper duck right here, and also the copper Grogu right there as well, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. They were additional items that I had no idea he was sending across. So thank you so very much for that. And 10 points to anybody who was able to guess what I was up to with this. Now, I did make sure I left just enough clues. If people followed all my videos, you'd had to watch multiple videos to get all the clues. But if you did, you'd have just enough clues to put together what it was I was planning with GSH. So if you were able to guess that, fantastic work and very well done to you. So moving forward, obviously GSH then took the items back to his house. At that point, because the copper had already been pre-cleaned, it was basically just a case of needing to melt the copper down in the crucible. At that point, you then just need to remove the slag that forms on the top. And what that is, it's just the non-copper stuff. It's lighter than the copper, so it'll float to the top, and then you just skim that off. GSH uses a spoon. You just skim that off and discard it, and that leaves you with more of a pure copper afterwards. The way this was poured was by using sand casting. So sand casting is when you get a very oily sand. It needs to be oily to hold its shape, and basically what you do is you compress it really hard, push the shape of the item you're wanting to mould into the sand, and that leaves a mould for you to fill with the metal. So once you've done that, it's literally just a case of heating the metal, pouring it into the mould, waiting for it to set, and then that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of cleaning up needs to be done afterwards, but other than that, that is pretty much all it is to the pouring process. I know I'm making it sound very easy. It's not that easy. Getting the right temperature of the metal can be very, very tricky. If it's not the right metal, when you pour it in, it could leave clumps or maybe not form properly. And that's when you see items that have been poured that have got big cracks going down them and failures in the pour. And that's, as I say, that's normally because the metal hasn't been heated to the correct temperature. But in this case, from the photos I've seen now, I have seen a photo or two, but I haven't opened the box yet. So we're going to be able to see the final piece together. I've not seen this in the flesh at all as of yet. So I reckon, with that being the case, we've probably held it off for long enough now. I'm certainly absolutely dying to get this box open and have a look in what's inside. So with that being the case, I'm sure you guys want to see it too. So without any further delay, let me get my knife into this box. We'll see if we can cut a opening in there, and we'll have a look to see what GSH has been able to put together. So if we open the box, where's my camera? There we go. We've got a couple of pieces. One's right here, and the other one is right here as well. And I can see that he has put a note at the bottom of the box, so I'm just going to read that for you all right now. And we can see that this says, "Haystack, well, after weeks of frustration in trying to get this right, here are the 2 best results out of the 5. Finally cracked it, and then you say you prefer the Odin version of the Thinking Man." Well, I'll explain that in a moment. You'll see what I mean by the Odin version. So the final tally in creating this was 1 hole in shoe where copper burnt through, 1 cut to the chest where angle grinder wheel broke and hit side chest, 1 chunk of finger somewhere in next door's garden. This is hilarious. Due to the primer punking style of cutting a pipe without using a vise, was the last one out of all of the lot. We've got a few explanatives right there, followed by a combination of similar words. Anyway, a good experience of trying to source a way of doing the big pieces with high relief and trying to get the eyes right, as these generally were the issues, as the copper would wash these away and was too heavy for it, so I was happy at least when I found a way that worked. All the best, GSH. And GSH, thank you so much for all the effort that you have put into this. I do know GSH did have a lot of issues getting this right, and I thought he did a fantastic job of it. I really did. But you'll see what I mean about the Odin Man in just one moment, because as you can see, we've got 2 rights here, and I don't know which is which. I'm hoping this. Okay. I think this one right here is the Odin one. So we'll leave that for a second. And this is the one that came out best. So let me just get my knife in. And without trying to take away pieces of myself, just like GSH did. Yeah, I think I went to the same school of knife safety as GSH did. But, right, any further delay, what we have right here is this absolutely stunning. This is more of a brass version. You'll see that in a second. But this is absolutely stunning, GSH. It truly is. Just look at that. I mean, wouldn't you just fall in love with that straight away? And when I had it in aluminium in hand, I just knew, it's an absolutely stunning piece, and I knew it was going to look absolutely gorgeous in copper. So we'll pop that one right there, and we'll move on to this one, which I have now dubbed the Odin bar. And in just one moment's time, you will see why that is. So let me just get this out to the GSH. I love it, GSH. He's put a little eye patch on him, look. I love that. I do love that, GSH. We're going to take it off just for a moment, just so I can show everyone. So this is why this is called the Odin bar. As you can see, we had some issues with the eye right there. But many of you will know that I'm a huge fan of Vikings and the period of history that is the Viking invasion of England, the time of Alfred the Great and that kind of time in history. And one of the fables behind Odin, the king of the Viking gods, is that he traded his eye in return for receiving knowledge. The price of receiving that knowledge was that he had to pluck his own eye out. And I just think this bar right here perfectly encapsulates that moment in time just after Odin has had to pluck his own eye out in return for the knowledge that came with it. So that's why this one has been called the Odin bar. I prefer this one purely because it does have a little bit more of a copper look to it. Because this one is more of a brass than a copper. It's not quite as pure. You can see it is very, very much lighter in colour, whereas this has got that lovely pinky coppery colour to it. And I do think they're both gorgeous. Look at the back of that bar there, all the texture on that. You can really see the colour, the copper colour in this one right there. This one looks more of a gold colour. It does look more of a gold colour because brass, it is kind of a goldy colour. And I'm a huge fan of both of them. I really am. And this, believe me, there's quite a bit of weight of copper in these two pieces. There really are. But this right here is the Odin Thinking Man copper bar, which I think has got to be my absolute favourite piece of copper that I own right now. And to think this came from just some junk that was lying in my back garden. It'd been there for years, accumulating dirt and rust, and you know, to think that a pile of basically trash can be turned into something as stunningly beautiful as this bar right here is just absolutely blows me away. But let's find a place for him on the background right here. If we move those copper bars out of the way, I'll be able to find a little stand, which I hope we can get him on. There we go. Brilliant. And if we pop this carefully out the back, very, very carefully. There we go. Just look at that. Doesn't it look at home in the backdrop right there? It really, really, truly does. I think I'll keep that one on display, and I'll put the other one, this one, away somewhere. I might put this on display in another room. But GSH, mate, my word, you have gone above and beyond in producing these absolutely stunning pieces. You really, really have. They are both incredibly gorgeous. They really are. I'm so happy we were able to come together and make this happen. I really am. But thank you again so very much. And as I said earlier in the video, don't forget to head across and check GSH's channel out. He's got a brilliant channel. He's really doing great things when it comes to pouring. He only started pouring probably within the last year or so, I would say it was. He can correct me on that if I've got that wrong, but I'm sure it's only in the last year or so GSH has been pouring. And in that time, my word, my friend, you have really come to terms with what you're doing in there. And yeah, I can see myself commissioning maybe a few pieces in the future from you, if that's possible. But yeah, once again, mate, thank you so very much. But with that being said, I've probably rabbled on for long enough now. So I think I'm going to leave you all in the usual fashion by saying, until next time, as usual, look after each other, keep stacking, take care, and goodbye.